Ciao, my loves. This is Gemma with your May 8th new moon reading. This is lunation number 1254. It begins the third month in the lunar solar calendar, in Latin known as Maius. This month is really rich with rituals that honor the dead and the transference of new reality. Now, the beauty of this position that I'm really going to break down is going to be found in Bharani, where the sun and the moon meet at 23 degrees and 50 minutes. And in addition to that, Venus is conjunct the moon and the sun at 16 degrees and 28 minutes of Bharani. Now, Bharani is a lunar mansion, or in astronomical terms, it is an asterism. Asterism is simply a star group, and the way you can think of it is the groupings of stars that are not constellations, but they lie behind or just beyond the zodiacal sign, and they give the essence or the energy and the consciousness that one creates the adds into the zodiacal sign, but it is essentially a lunar mansion that allows us to peer into the conscious qualities that are unfolding within our world and within ourselves. Now, this conjunction with Venus is very important because it's going to emphasize the Venusian energy. The lunar mansion of Bharani is ruled by Venus. So now we have a double down of her energy. Now, as I mentioned, this month is really rich with energy or festivals that honor the dead. Seems odd, right? We're about to be in the summer. We're in late spring, and there are festivals honoring the dead. So let's move into it. And I want to help explain Bharani, this position against the stars, and how the tantric system and the Greco-Roman rituals are actually mirrored. They are the same, and it's a beautiful thing. So let's break it down. All right. Bharani. Bharani is associated with the death god named Yama. This is really important. Yama represents death, but it is a transference of the old into the new. Now, Bharani is connected not only to the transition of death, but we see this in the Greco-Roman rituals, especially known as Lemuria. Now, Lemuria is practiced on the 9th lunar day, the 11th lunar day, and the 13th lunar day. And this is the festival of the dead, or protection of sacrifice. It is a protection of transference of souls. In addition to that, there is on the 14th lunar day, Argai. Argai is an ancient Roman ritual that predates the imperial empire. And it actually is very well connected to other rituals. Now, Argai is key because Bharani is symbolized to Argaya in Sanskrit. And Argaya in Sanskrit, sounds a lot like Argai, right? Is a chalice that's used for pouring water onto the statues of deities. It signifies a channel for expressing one's devotion. So on the 14th lunar day, it is essentially honoring the channels and purifying the channels for the dead. Now, during Argai in the Greco-Roman period, this was a festival that was performed by priests or during the empire by the Vestals. They would go to 27 different stations with these straw human figurines and throw them into the water or throw them into like the Tiber River. Now, the 27 stations sounds a lot like the 27 nakshatras or 27 points, which is a sacred number of 9. But essentially, it is a passage of the souls into water. Now, the Vedic rituals emphasize the same thing. It is the chalice. Remember, Argaya is the chalice that is expressed in terms of the channels. Water symbolizes the movement of life force. This position among the stars is connected to the transportation of souls from one realm of existence to another, or the form of realm, the form from subjective to objective manifestation. It is a shift in planes of existence within the manifest. Now, Venus rules over this nakshatra, this lunar mansion, Bharani, where the sun and the moon are positioned, and Venus. Now, with this position, what happens is essentially it represents the divine energy. It's a shift in phase of existence within the manifestation. It represents divine energy that is polarized and immersed into action. We see this in a Venusian nature. The polarization occurs through Venus. And we're speaking about polarization. That means polarization between the shifting of what was once dead and alive, but also the polarization of creative potential. Now, this position is the transition of realm from divine primeval process made to manifest into the lower levels. Our manifested world is considered a lower level, lower than the heavens. And that's what I'm referring to in terms of a lower level. It's within this position that the energy flows to nourish objective manifestation. It's a changing of the channels. It's a changing of life through the channels. Remember that ritual. This is when Venusian energy descends. The passage of souls shifts realms, in which new life takes form and influence into objective manifestation. It's also a position known to heighten creative power because it is really tapping in to that polarizing, action-oriented Venusian energy. Now, this is going to be manifested even more. Let me just say, some people might call this a combustion between the sun and Venus. I don't feel that. I feel that this is going to emphasize, because sometimes when the sun is far enough away from the forces of Venus, it can actually just brighten it up instead of burning it out. And in my opinion, this is a position of brightening it up. And I feel as if creative primal energy and the ability to transition from one reality into the next is more potent at this new moon and over this month. Now, this position represents Shakti. This energy I'm speaking of is Shakti. And Shakti is the feminine primal power. It is the opposite of Shiva, the masculine nature. So if Shiva is the consciousness, Shakti is the energy that brings it into form. So it is the power of life force, the power of prana, the energy behind that which moves, okay? Here we have this polarization of the ideation, remember last month, and now into the power into action. This position, especially with Venus and the sun and the moon against the stars, it acts like a powerful attractor. I want you to think kinetic energy, things that are in movement. You can feel it bubbling up. And when energy is directed on its course, it can be associated with Yama, the deity that is associated with this star asterisms, these star groupings. Again, Yama is the god of death. So how can the god of death also be associated with directing energy? It's because this lunar mansion enables new life force to permeate physical form. So when we speak of Yama, the god of death, it's actually Yama enables us to detach from the old form to assume a new one. In this way, we see the channels that were practiced or purified in Argai, the ancient Roman ritual of opening the channels and throwing in these straw human figures into the water as a passage of the old and a purification and a nourishment into the new. It is an honoring of the form that once preceded. So now new efficient flow of energy and life force can now permeate the new form, the new reality, the new objective manifestation. This is when new life force is enabled to permeate physical form. And it's when the old form just can't take the soul any further, so it becomes decrepit and unable to manifest. And so we send it on its way. We give an honor and allow new energy to begin to permeate into our lives. This is a passive potential. It's capable of providing, remember that kinetic energy I said bubbling up, like it's ready to be released, but it needs to be a directive? It's capable of providing essential environment. Okay, so in this regard, look at your environment. Does it support your new life form? Not only the environment of which is your home, but all of the forms that have outlived themselves. It can be thought forms. That's also your mental environment. Think of your relationship environment. Think of the nature of things. Has that form become decrepit? Do you need to honor it and allow that form to pass along into the channels to be returned so you can welcome in new life force? It's a regeneration. So when we start to understand this, we start to understand how different kinds of life force fructify. And when we look at our environment, we can see how different life force comes together within our environment, within our world, to fructify a new process, this generative process. This is allowing a new prosperity to emerge. It's an actualization for new manifestation. In this, we understand and we can correlate the Greco-Roman rituals. As I mentioned, Lemuria, the honoring of the dead on the 9th, 11th, and 13th lunar days. This is key because it is an honoring of the old form in a systematic way. And then we have Argai, the passage of the channels from the old moving to new, the sacrifice, or Argaya in Sanskrit, which is the chalice, the pouring, the nourishment in this passage. Remember, water symbolizes movement of life force. Flush it out and bring something new in. Lastly, there's a sacrifice to Bondia. Bondia is an ancient goddess, represented almost as Mother Earth. But in this correlation, we see that it is Shakti, the mother goddess, the energy and power that gives life to everything. And then lastly, on the 25th of this month, we have a celebration of Fortuna. Now, the celebration of Fortuna is an ancient goddess, and she's also connected with the Etruscans, and it represents new fortune manifest. So in this lunation, we have the beauty of the passage of the old. Honor the old. And as we move new life force, allow a new objective reality to permeate and flourish within your environment in all forms, be it subtle in the mind, gross in your physical environment in your home, but also in your directive of your energy. Allow yourself to take full advantage of the potential and the creative potency that is within you and that is literally coming into conscious form within you and our world. And utilize that to bring new life forward, new prosperity forward, and you define what that looks like. Now, lastly, for those of you that have your moon or Venus in any of the correlated lunar mansions, that is Bharani, that is Purva Ashadha, which is in Sagittarius, and Purva Phalguni, which is in Leo. So we have the 3 fire signs. This is going to be the most impactful, or the most, the signature is more resonant, let's just say that, in you. Now, if you are familiar, the Nakshatra workbook, you can look that up. I'll include the link below. You'll see how to work it out. It's all laid out. So if you have your moon in Bharani, you'll look at the Bharani chart. If you have your moon in Purva Ashadha, so on and so forth. Utilize that workbook to help you work with the lunar mansions. And one last thing. For those of you on the newsletter, you'll get a further breakdown of these rituals and how to work with them. That's it. Happy third month, and happy new moon. Lots of love, and may you relish and swim in the abundance and the nourishment that is going to flow through you and around you. Ciao, sweets.